adding and subtracting fractions today. So you better pay attention to the sign. Don't just assume it's all adding. Look, here's the adding one. Here's a subtracting one. Subtracting. Ooh, they're adding some stuff to it. So at the top of your page, I want you to write yourself a note. And here's your note at the top of the page. Put a star. Parentheses go first. These are your important notes today. Parentheses go first. Parentheses go first. So let's get our eyes up here on number 6. So, like if you got to number 6 and I hadn't told you to do parentheses first, you would probably start over here with the 7/8, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do what's in parentheses first, then we'll get an answer, then we'll add the 7/8 to our new answer. So over on your scrap paper, let's write what's in parentheses. 4/8 minus 2/4. And I'm warning you, the denominators get big today. I'm warning you.
Yay!
Get your pencil on 8, because that's the biggest denominator. Is 4 times anything ever going to get you 8? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. You ought to be, this ought to be super easy for you. You have a question? No? Okay, you're just answering. Okay, on the top. Obviously, how do we go from 8 to 8 times 1? Now let's stop for a minute. Put your pencils down and look what I get. Like yesterday on the quiz. I seriously get people putting things like this. Now that makes no sense to me, because if you're 8 over here and you're 8 over here, you've not done anything to yourself. You've not increased your number, you've not increased your size, you've not done anything to yourself, so there's only one thing that you can multiply by that won't change the number. What's that one thing? 1. So why in the world, does that make sense at all there?
No.
And I have people put weird stuff.
I know why they.
Like I have people put 16 there. What the heck? If you're 8 over here and you're 8 over here, the only thing that could happen to you is multiply by 1. The only thing. So I hope you put a times 1 right there in that, which means that goes there.
I think I know why I put the 2.
Now we're on the bottom. How do we go from 4 to 8? We multiplied times 2, and 2 times 2 gets you 4. Now we're only subtracting the tops, so draw those arrows. And if I had 4 and you came and took my 4, what do I have left?
0.
Nothing. So this whole thing right here, mark it out and put 0 right there. Not like a fraction, just plain old 0. Now let's talk about that. Sometimes people write this and it's wrong, 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 wrong. Some people put a 0 over 8. You don't write it like that. You just write 0, okay? So if I have 7/8 and I add nothing to my 7/8, what do I end up with? 7/8. There's your answer. Okay, here we go. Bentley, you can pick any number you want to do. 3 all the way to 22. 21. Let me scroll down real quick. Okay, I see parentheses first on 21, so we have to do the 1/2 plus 2/7. So write that on scrap paper. Hey, look, I got it right off my paper. You look on your paper and get it. On number 21. You have a paper too.
I put my trick there.
Get your pencil on 7. That's the biggest denominator. Bentley, is 2 times anything going to get me 7? Then go the next 7. Is 2 times something going to get me 14? Yes. Keep it going, Brooklyn, on the top. How do we go from 2 to 14, Brooklyn?
Times 2.
Not times 2. 2 times 2 would get me 4.
Oh, times 7.
Times 7. And 1 times 7 gets me 7. Keep it going, Jake Lee, on the bottom.
2.
2. What does 2 times 2 get me, Jake Lee?
4.
4. So now we're adding the top. So 7 plus 4 would get me what, class? 11 14ths. Now stop. Which one were we on? Were we on 21?
Yeah.
Okay, mark this out and put 11 14ths right there. Well, you know what? We ought to be able to do this because this is a common denominator with this. See, we don't even have to find a new common denominator. We already have a common denominator. So all we have to do is subtract the top. You ought to be able to subtract 13 minus 11. What do you get? 2 what?
14.
Okay, that's wrong though, and I'll show you why. Okay, and everybody should be watching. If you write this answer, you're so right and so wrong because they're both even. 2 can dive into them, okay? So we have to reduce every time. So how many times can 2 dive into 2? 1. How many times can 2 dive into 14?
7.
There's your answer, 1/7. Okay, you pick a number 3 to 22.
19.
19. And this has parentheses, so we have to do parentheses first. So 7/8 plus 1/12. Get your parents on 12 because that's the biggest denominator. Caden, is 8 times anything going to get you 12? No. So go the next 12. What would it be?
24.
Is 8 times anything going to get you 24?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, on the top, Hope, how do I go from 8 to 24? What do I multiply by?
2.
Nope, 8 times 2 is 16. Cooper?
3.
3. 8 times 3 is 24. So, Cooper, what would my 7 times 3 get me?
21.
21. Luke, what about the bottom? How do we go from 12 to 24, Luke?
Times 2.
Times 2. And 1 times 2 gets me 2. Now draw your arrows. Those are the only things you're adding. So 21 plus 2 would get me 23 24ths. There's your answer. 23 24ths.
But there's this 1.
Oh, we're not done, are we?
No.
You're right. Glad you remembered. Shoot, that was just this part, right? Are we on 19?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was just this part, 23 24ths. Minus 1/2. I was going to run off and leave the minus 1/2 part. Glad y'all caught that. Get your pencil on 24 because that's the biggest denominator. Eric, can 2 times anything get you 24?
Yeah.
Yes. Why would you say yes right there so boldly? Because it's a what kind of number? Even. The fact that that's even makes you know immediately. So that means this is going to be times 1 and 23 goes here. Now on the bottom, Kiara, how do you go from 2 to 24?
2 and 23 you multiply.
Count by 2s until you get to 24 if you don't know. By 12. So 1 times 12 gets me 12. Now look, the second part of 19 was subtracting. Make sure you're paying attention to the signs. So draw arrows right here. And if you can't do 23 minus 12 in your head, that's fine. Then write it over here on scrap paper. Just like this and work it out. If you can't do it in your head, that's okay.
Can I have it?
You can write on your paper. What'd you get, Xander? What'd you get, Lainey?
11.
11 what?
25.
11 24ths. There's your answer. 11 24ths.
I get it.
No, would you? Hey, stop. I'm the teacher, not you. Okay? Chill out. Bentley, pick a number. 3 to 22. 22. Ooh, I see parentheses, but let's stop for a minute, okay? Let's just think for a minute. I'm going to give y'all a little shortcut, and let's see who's paying attention. Kara, leave your hair alone. What do you know about 15 over 15? What do you know that's worth? 1 whole. So if we really need these to be the same, and that's already on tenths, maybe we could change this to 1 whole on tenths. What would this first number be if we were on tenths then? 10 tenths. Now let's think about this. Golly, these numbers look different. That looks bigger. But is it?
No.
Why you say no?
Because they're both
The value is exactly 1. So let's cheat and mark that out and make this be 10 tenths. Do you see the little cheat I gave you? That's a good cheat. So now we can do that in our head because we have common denominators there. So all we're doing is subtracting the top. So what would 10 tenths minus 7 tenths be?
3 tenths.
3 tenths. So mark this out and put 3 tenths. Now we've got to add that to 1/6. So 1/6 goes on top and 3 tenths goes on bottom. Ooh, let's see who can come up with the lowest denominator here. You think you know, Brooklyn? Well, 6 can't go into 10. Nothing times 6 is 10. So keep going to the next 10. $30. Good job. You know what I was afraid y'all might put? 60.
Yep.
I was afraid y'all put 60, but what do you know about 30? It's better because it's lower, okay? So keep it going. Jake Lee on the top. How do we go from 6 to 30? 5. And 1 times 5 is 5. Kaden on the bottom. How do we go from 10 to 30?
Times 3.
3 times 3 is 9. Now we're only adding the tops. So what does 9 and 5 get you, class? 14 what?
30.
Uh-oh. So right and so wrong. See how both of those are even? So we're going to have to divide them by 2. How many times can 2 dive into 14, Hope? Are you Hope? 2 times what gets you 14?
7.
Okay, there's your new top number. Sander, on the bottom, 2 times what gets you 30? Count by 2s until you get to 30. Okay, I'll give you a huge hint, and you should already know this. You should already know 12 times 2 is 24. Isn't 30 just a few up from that? So if 12 times 2 is 24, what's 13 times 2? 20. Go 2 more. 26. What's 14 times 2? 28. What's 15 times 2? 30. Isn't that what we needed right there? 30. So how many times can 2 dive into 30? 15 times. Lainey, pick one. 3 all the way to 22.
20.
Which one?
20.
20. 11/18. Have to do parentheses first. Minus 4/9. Get your pencil on 18. Lainey, is 9 times anything ever going to get you 18? Oh dear, you should know this. Class, is 9 times anything going to get you 18?
Yes.
Yeah, 9 times 2 is 18. Gosh, you've got to know these. Multiply times 1 in the middle. And 11 times 1 is 11. Bentley, what about the bottom? How do we go from 9 to 18? Just told you. Times 2. And 4 times 2 gets you 8. Now let's only subtract the tops. And if you need to count from 8 up to 11, is fine. 8, 9, 10, 11. What'd you get? 3 what? Okay, freeze. Okay, freeze. And look at me. So far, all I've taught you to reduce by is 2. Now we're going to, that was like a baby step. That was like a milk bottle. Now we're going on to real food, like steak, okay? 2 is not the only thing you can divide by to reduce. As long as you can pick the same number on top and the same number on bottom, you can reduce by any number. So I want you to think about 3 and 18. 3 can dive into both of these. Because how many times can 3 dive into 3? Once. How many times can 3 dive into 18? 6. There's your answer, 1/6. So see, I divided by 3 that time. It's not just 2.
Now we do 1 6 plus 1 6.
Oh, are we not done yet?
No.
So was that number 20?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 1 6. Plus another 1 6 would be 2 6. Uh-oh. What's wrong with 2 6?
Even.
They're both even. What can dive into both of those? 2. How many times can 2 dive into 2?
1.
Okay, let me get the question out. How many times can 2 dive into 6? 3. There's your final answer.
1/3.
You have to reduce. You have to. Turn the page.
This is all the consequences. We did all the
Let's see.
percentages.
Let's do number 23. The table shows the amount of ingredients needed to make a pizza. What ingredients do you use to make a pizza on this table?
Cheese, pepperoni.
Cheese, pepperoni, and mushrooms. Okay, right off the bat it says 3 key words. What does that mean to do? How much more? What does that mean?
Subtract.
Oh, somebody said add. That's not true. It's subtract. Write subtract right there. Wonder what we're going to subtract. How much more cheese do you need then? Now this is going to get tricky, so I hope you're catching this. Pepperoni and mushroomed. Uh-oh, what does that word mean? What does combined mean to do? Add. So I'm putting a plus sign. So the first thing we have to do is combine the pepperoni and mushrooms. So Eric, tell me what to write. If I'm combining the pepperoni and mushrooms.
1/3 plus 1/4.
Okay, love it. Kiara, tell me something 3 and 4 can both go into.
3 and 4 both can go into 1.
Supposed to start with the biggest denominator.
4.
Can 3 times something get you 4? Then go the next 4. Can 3 times something get you 8? Then go the next denominator.
12.
Is 3 times something going to get you 12? The answer is yes. And if you knew your multiplication facts, you would know. I'm getting super duper frustrated about this. Cooper, how do you go from 3 to 12?
4.
So 1 times 4 gets you 4. Luke, how do you go from 4 to 12?
3.
So 1 times 3 gets you 3. Now let's only add the tops. 4 twelfths and 3 twelfths gets you 7 twelfths. But we're not done. Because that was just the pepperoni and mushrooms combined. What was the first thing that it wanted us to do? Subtract what? Cheese minus that. So what's the cheese?
3/4.
3/4. So on your scrap paper, write 3/4. And now we're subtracting what we just added together. Okay, we're subtracting what we combined. So 7 twelfths would go right here. Caden, what's something that 4 and 12 can both go into?
48.
Start on this biggest denominator.
24.
Time out. Start on this biggest denominator. Is 4 times anything going to get you 12?
Yes.
So you should have used 12.
Sorry.
No. Now let's talk about what he just said. He said 24. 4 will go into 24 and 12 will go into 24. He's right, but my answer's better because it's lower. Okay, so this bottom stays the same. On the top, Hope, how do we go from 4 to 12?
3.
Huh?
3.
3? What's 3 times 3, Hope?
9.
Now we're only subtracting the tops. Xander, are you writing this? Oh my gosh. 9 twelfths minus 7 twelfths gets you 2 twelfths. Do y'all like my answer?
Yes.
No, because they're both even. Fix it for me, Lainey.
You have to.
Who can fix it for me? Who can fix it for me? Can you fix it for me? What do you tell me to do? Be my teacher. Divide them by 2. So how many times can 2 dive into 2? 1. There's your new top number. Keep it going.
We can go into 6.
2 can dive into 12
6
6 times. There's your answer. And see this little bitty C right there? That stands for cups. So put a C right there for cups. If you love cheese, too bad that doesn't say 3/4 of a pound. If you love cheese on pizza, who loves cheese on pizza? Like where it's all stringy and stuff? Yeah. You can mark out number 24 and let's do 25 real quick. And I'm fixing to let you do some on your own. Jareen. She spent a fourth of an hour on homework before school, another half an hour after she got home, and a final third hour after dinner. She had a lot of homework. You know what? Jareen actually did her homework. Imagine that. You can't believe the amount of kids who don't do their homework. You can't, even in this class. You can't imagine that. Guess what happens to kids who don't do their homework? They're fixing to have lots of detention. And I'm fixing to march right down to the principal and talk to the principal about it. I'm getting fed up with kids who don't do their homework. But Jareen, she did some when?
Before school.
When?
After.
And when?
After that.
You mean she didn't sit down and just do what she wanted to do? She actually was responsible and mature and did her homework? Oh my gosh, like a middle school student should do? Imagine that. Get your pencil on did. Did she spend more or less than what?
1 hour.
1 hour. Well, I don't even know how much she spent altogether. How would I figure that out, Jake Lee? Add what? Tell me what to write. 1/4 and 1/2 and 1/3. I totally agree. This is going to tell us how much she actually did on her homework. Get your pencil on the biggest denominator, which would be 4. So, Bentley, is 2 times anything going to get me 4? But Bentley, is 3 times anything going to get me 4? Then you better take me to the next 4, Bentley. What would that be? 8. Is 2 times anything going to get me 8, Bentley? Is 3 times anything going to get me 8? Then you better take me to the next 4, Bentley. What would that be? Is 2 times anything going to get me 12? Is 3 times anything going to get me 12? Yes, so we're going to use it. On the top, Brooklyn, how do you go from 4 to 12? Times 3, so multiply the top times 3. 3. Keep it going, Jake Lee, in the middle. How do we go from 2 to 12? 6. So 1 times 6 is 6. Kaden, on the bottom, how do we go from 3 to 12, Kaden? 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. Now draw these arrows like me. Those are the only things that you're adding. So what's 3 plus 6 going to get you, class? 9. Plus 4 more would get you 13 what?
12.
Okay, now I have an important question. Because it doesn't say how much did she spend in all. It says, did she spend, read this, more or less than what? 1 hour. Eric, is that more or less than 1 hour? And how do you know? What would 1 whole hour be?
12.
Do y'all agree 1 whole hour would be 12 12s? And 13 12s is more. So did she spend more? Yep. And here's how you know. Because 13 12s is greater than 12 12s. Lots greater. Okay. You don't have to do the rest of the back. I don't want you like putting a big old X on it, but I just want you gently marking out the numbers. But you do have to do the front, okay? And I don't know how to stress this anymore. Let me just explain this really quick. Daily work, it's worth some points, but I do the majority with you. So why would I give you a grade for what I do? So I'm just going to give you like, I don't know, pennies worth of value. Put your hand down. Pennies worth of value. But when it comes time for the quiz, where you have to do it all by yourself, it's worth a lot. Okay? So don't you think the work that you should do on your own, and I even let you use the worksheets on your quiz, don't you think that would really be valuable to help you on your quiz? Because the quiz is worth a lot more than a penny. Yeah. It's going to be worth like a whole $1. Okay, and it's going to affect your grade more. Does that make perfect sense? So do your homework. Go.